Hello and welcome to the Buckets and Tea NBA show. I'm your host, Cathryn Niker. Thanks so much for tuning into this week's episode. We're back, baby. We back. Joining me this week, he is Hello and Welcome's fan favorite. It's Jerome Cheng.
Hello and welcome.
So good to have you on the show. So great to be back. It ended up being a quite a bit of a hiatus for me, about 2 months.
I'm so happy to be the person to help bring you back into the fold.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. You know, we Raptors Republic got sold. Like so much has happened. I had a pretty major surgery that I'm recovering from. It was planned. Nothing, you know.
Yeah.
But it's good. It's like, oh, I was in chronic pain and now I won't be in chronic pain. Hallelujah.
I mean, Bruce Brown waited until later to get his surgery. Right?
Yeah, at least I got mine in the off season, you know. Actually, it was terrible timing because it was like WNBA playoffs. Ooh. So it was not good timing in that sense, but when you cover both leagues, there is no good time. So
there's no good time. But the best time might be at this point the WNBA. Like, it's been ridiculously good, like last week or two.
I think this finals is one of the best finals series I've ever seen.
It's incredible. Like, I don't have a deep history of watching the W, but like as far as I think I've seen the last at least 2 finals, maybe more. And like it's not even close. Like there was a particular enjoyment, of course, of seeing the Aces win last year, especially when they were down so many players and somehow like gutted it out against the Liberty. But then I don't know, it's one of those also things, like especially for Liberty fans, it must be a miserable experience. It must be nice to actually watch them not melt down in the finals and then go up against a team that is equally as equal, like up for the task. Like it's been so good, like so freaking good. Every game has come down to the wire. Game 4 is tonight.
Yeah, at 8 p.m. We're recording this Friday morning. So if you're a casual or you haven't thought, you've been like kind of thinking about tuning into the WNBA, tonight
could be the last game of the season. So you have to watch.
It could be. Yeah. I think we preseason basketball is nothing compared.
The Raptors are welcoming or we're playing the Nets tonight too in preseason basketball.
Yeah, if you're watching that even though this is Raptors Republic, please watch the WNBA. Do yourself a favor.
I do want to check in on my boy Jackie Sway, but that's like a second screen experience. That's not the main screen.
Yes, that is a second screen experience. I'm sure even they would agree. Yeah. I'm sure even they were like, man, I wish I could watch this game 4 tonight.
Yeah. I mean, that said, tune into our Raptors React pod after the game. We will be going live with Will Liu, but still,
And Samson's part of that too?
I think Samson is coming on tonight again because we're going to talk about the partnership that's going on. You mentioned the Raptors Republic got purchased. Yeah. We're network buddies now.
We're network buddies. It's
hello and
wild.
Welcome to the Nation Network.
Aw, thank you. Which everyone's like, what's the Nation Network? But, people will figure it out.
The Nation Network is a podcast network in Canada, started with Oilers Nation, I believe. So they were primarily a hockey network featuring various teams. Like I think there's a Leafs Nation, Flames Nation. But this year, starting with Hello and Welcome, they wanted to tap more into the basketball space in Canada. And we're extending that now with Raptors Republic. And, Raptors Republic and Hello and Welcome, that's a pretty sweet partnership in the basketball space, in the Raptor space.
Yeah, it's true. Because you get a bit of everything. You get a lot of like hardcore analysts, and then you get silly time with me.
Yeah. Oh yeah, silly time with you. I think we're gonna try to make Samson as silly as possible.
Really? I always try to get Samson to be silly. He brings out a silly side when he's on this pod.
Samson's a silly guy. Don't get it twisted. Like he's a smart dude, but he's a silly guy as well
too. What else has been going on these past 2 months? Oh, I turned 40. Ooh. I hit the big 40.
How's it feel? I'm there in about a month.
In a month?
Yeah.
Honestly, I feel great.
Yeah.
I feel really great. I feel like I spent most of 39 dreading it, that by the time 40 happened, I was looking forward to it.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I feel
Yeah.
like
I feel
it's
good.
I was 30 daunting when it happened. If you can,
Mm.
like, I feel because I'll talk to friends who are like hitting that milestone, and I'm just like, I don't know, it happened. I probably had dinner, and then like was just a different age the next day. But
Yeah, that's how
yeah,
I did 30. 30 was very
yeah,
uneventful for me, but
yeah.
40 has felt significant.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. But
And
also, like, yeah, go ahead.
oh, but and you like it on the other side now?
Yeah, I like it on the other
Nice.
side. Like, I feel like, you look at life and you're like, well, things could be better, but also things could be worse,
Yeah, yeah.
you know?
I mean, that is consistent every age.
Every age.
Yeah.
So that part never changes,
Hmm.
And I feel like, if I'm a draft prospect,
Yeah.
it's like, I don't think I'm not number 1,
Sure.
but I'm somewhere in the middle of the first round and I still have upside.
I actually had this debate with Will. We were shooting at the park together, and we were talking about what NBA career we'd want. And outside of the idea of having like superstar money, which is great, I keep on always pushing for like I want to be like sixth man, seventh man, just someone who like gets enough minutes to get some shots up, makes a decent salary, but doesn't have to like really like be the person all the time. Like I
Mm.
think that's like a very like to me that achieves a level of work life balance. I think in term if I were an NBA player. But we agreed, like all in all, like the
I
other
think you have to work just as hard to be that guy.
I no, I know, but I think like it's the other elements of like less spotlight, like those kind of like I think I would have to yeah, like you said, work equally as hard as an NBA player or as a professional basketball player, but I just don't have to like worry about the extracurriculars.
Mm.
Yeah. But then we also realize like the ideal player is to be Tobias Harris. Get like a big bag, disappoint, and just like collect money for the rest of your career.
That's how I feel about one-hit wonders,
Yeah.
where it's like, get that Montel Jordan money
Yeah.
and get out.
Yeah. No, no. That
And then you can do it like a handful of like nostalgia shows a year,
right.
show up at Pride, like whatever, you know what I mean? And just keep collecting that bag.
Yeah, like I guess like
Like
check
he
check
can
my bank account at any
retire.
point, and if I'm feeling like it's running like a little under what I want, just like agree to like join two or three other artists at Casino Rama and like collect that bag there, and then
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
Or like how like there's always like a bunch of like 90s 2000s acts like on one tour now.
collect it, yeah.
So you could do that and like only have like a 20-minute set.
I have one caveat to add. Maybe build up enough of a catalog so you get yourself a little NPR tiny desk.
Ooh.
Because then, like, you always get your flowers again that second round. I think that's
Yeah,
really
yeah,
nice.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Was really excited about the Maxwell tiny desk that came out this
There's
summer.
there's like a Maxwell listening room. Have you heard of listening room before?
No.
Listening room is a really cool experience. It happens. It's like they do it at is it Longboat Hall over at like Queen and Dovercourt.
Mm.
Every month they pick an artist, and it is a full live band that plays the songs but doesn't play them as covers. It becomes like this improvisational experience. So it starts. They'll like you'll know the set list going ahead. I've been to one for Brandy. I've been to one for Solange, but they've like done so many different artists. Maxwell is coming up next week.
Oh.
But what happens is like they start playing the song, and then it turns into like this improv experience where like they play off of it, and then it becomes this also community experience where other musicians get to tap in, and like it becomes like a 10-minute jam session like for each song, and it's like really cool.
Okay, you have to send me that
I'll
link
send you the
later.
information. Yeah. I'm glad
Okay.
we're promoting another show when we have two shows that we're working on.
Both coming out today.
There you
This is
go.
going to come out in the afternoon and
Our
you're
episode, I think, is come. Our episode's out on at the time of this recording. It's been out for like 3 hours in audio, and I think it's gonna post up in 30 minutes on YouTube, which is great. It's just
so
waiting. It's
there's a lot of
scheduled out.
content to consume.
Raptors is back, baby.
Yeah. Okay, so for this episode, I thought it'd be fun to do some NBA predictions, but
Yep.
every podcast does over-unders, and I
Mhm.
do enjoy
We
over-unders.
released 2 over under episodes this week. We did an East to Western Conference.
Yeah,
Yep.
see, like
Yep.
everyone, and like Bill Simmons has been doing the over-unders for years. He might have
Mhm.
started it. He
He
in
would
terms of
probably be credited for
podcasting.
starting a lot of things. Yeah.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
has started a lot of things
Yeah.
for sure. So, I enjoy all of that, but I thought, okay, we're coming back a little late this
Mhm.
year. All of that's been done. So I decided to, and this is a silly show. We like to have fun here. This show is
You
about
hear
the
that, Samson? It's silly. You
and
stay
this is
silly.
this is about the fan experience, right?
Mhm.
So I have given you a handful of questions,
Yes, you did.
predicting type questions
Mhm.
for the season. So my first question for you is, which team do you think is going to surprise a casual
Yeah.
fan? What team do you think is going to sneak up and a casual is going to be like, "Oh wait, they're good now?"
Okay. Um it's funny cuz like I think like bad teams unfortunately from last year are going to remain bad, so I don't see that
Mm.
surprise happening. So I think what's going to happen if anything is a team that has been pretty good and ends up being like potentially like very good because they've had more time with their current identity. And that team for me is the Indiana Pacers.
Mm.
I think like post Pascal trade, also understanding objectively as a Raptors fan, not everyone pays attention to the Raptors and Raptors players as much as we do. So maybe Pascal is not as much of a household name as we would want to or expect him to be. So
Mhm.
I think having this like full season under his belt, I think having all the good vibes of the offseason of seeing him practice with the team, I think seeing players like Andrew Nemhard maybe getting back into the mix. I think Benedict Mathurin getting back and healthy. I think if they're a healthy team, because I don't think that they were necessarily like post trade like consistently healthy together. If they're able to kind of hit the ground running, like that might be a team coming out of the East with all like the obvious contenders of like the Celtics and the Knicks, and that's one that like might get casual fans to be like, "Oh, this is like actually like a
Mm.
fun team to watch,"
Mhm.
because it has changed a little bit, especially with the Pascal injection.
Yeah, and there could be like a weird like Caitlin Clark casual, the
Yeah,
CCCs. That's
yeah.
what I'm dubbing them, the
Okay,
Caitlin Clark casuals, the CCCs.
that sounds like a like an email like really including someone, but like with an extra C that means nothing, like a CC and a C, like CCing someone on an email. But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Um I went to Centennial College and it was the
Ah,
CCC campus.
CC. Okay,
That's what it was called. I don't even remember what it stood for
right.
other than Centennial College. I don't
Yeah.
remember the third C or
Well, Centennial
whatever.
College campus, but then there wouldn't be
Oh, is that
CCC.
but
But then
there's more than
CCC
one
campus.
campus.
I'm so sure that the board of admissions were like, we're like we're saying campus and C for campus. And everyone's like, no one's gonna catch that, and then we just did on this podcast.
Also, it's community college. But anyway,
Oh, maybe that's what
uh
it is. The Centennial College Community. No, that's not it.
no,
Centennial Community College campus.
no, I don't know.
No.
Maybe. No,
Okay.
because there's more than one campus.
Right. Anyway, back to Centennial.
So the
Yeah, the
Caitlin
CC.
Clark
Yeah.
casuals could suddenly decide to watch the Pacers.
How cool is that? That like the W is dictating like popularity in the NBA,
Yeah.
like in the MNBA.
Because there are like Caitlin Clark fans that have like never watched basketball.
Oh yeah,
It's
entirely.
wild.
Yeah.
But anyway, just
Unfortunately, you
talking
talk
about.
to a lot of them, and you're like, "Oh yeah, you really don't watch basketball." We don't need
Oh
to.
my
We don't need to pull
god!
on that thread.
Back in like March,
Hmm.
a friend of mine introduced me to like a buddy of his, and we're chatting, and I almost yelled at this man on the subway
Yeah.
over it, and I was like, okay, I need to calm down. Like it was like, oh my god, it got me
Uh,
really heated.
I was at a Hattie B's in Nashville with a group of friends, and I heard someone in the group speak about discourse, which we do not need to go into,
Mm.
and hearing like all the like classic talking points, I just turned back and asked, "Do you even watch it?" And then I went to go order my lunch.
They definitely don't.
They definitely don't.
No,
Yeah.
no. But
But yeah,
anyway,
that'd be cool. Like, yeah, I
yeah,
think having Fever fans and Caitlin Clark fans kind of get introduced, and like even like we saw it recently. I think just this week, it might have been a preseason game, but like we got so used to watching and seeing posts about NBA players attending WNBA games and that being a
hmm
big deal. And like there was a certain different energy of seeing like Caitlin Clark attend a preseason Indiana Pacers game, and it's like, oh, Caitlin is upping the profile of the men's National Basketball
yeah,
Association, and that's cool.
yeah. It's really good. Yeah, for that to be noteworthy, I
Hmm.
agree. Also, like just her sticking around in Indiana, but I guess that's not a stretch if she's from Iowa.
Right, right. Also, I'm like so sure she's such a basketball sicko that she just is
Yeah, and
nonstop
her and
games.
Halliburton are apparently friends. They're good friends.
That's great. Yeah.
But anyway, that's a good pick. I was thinking the Orlando Magic.
Oh yeah, that's really good because they've been like a sleeper pick for a minute. Like kind of like if
Yeah.
you know about the Magic.
Yeah, and I think like they did do pretty decent last year in the
Hmm.
playoffs. But I have a feeling like this is a team that could make an unexpected like deeper run. Like they could be, cuz when everyone makes these predictions, it's like nothing goes quite as you expect it to. And
Right.
I feel like the Orlando Magic could be like last year's version of the Pacers where like they surprise you like in the Eastern Conference Finals because they had a really good the bracket was favorable to them
Right. Right.
type of team. And I feel like they're in a world where they can be that team.
Yeah, no, I like that pick also because I think Paulo Banchero is still a little bit under the radar. And
Mhm.
yeah, like in the kind of way that like we might have, like you said, like might have said about Tyrese Halliburton for a bit. And so yeah, I think like a little more team success and like they'll come into the mix. And yeah, I think you talk to a lot of like people covering the NBA, and like people just like the Magic, and like like you said in the question, um, they seem like they might be on the brink of breaking into like the casual fans consciousness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. Okay. Next question. Who do we think I wrote is going on sale?
Yeah.
Which I mean, not the team going on sale, but
Right.
blowing up, trading. Who do you think by the deadline this year is going to say, F it, we got to move on?
Um,
No
I
more of this. We can't take it anymore.
I think like uh I think it's the Heat.
Mm.
Because it's crazy that they were like in the finals just what, a year ago, 2 years ago? No, a year ago.
Hmm.
And um and then like I don't know, the energy just feels off. It feels like the Jimmy Butler experience might be coming to an end. It feels like a make or break season. It feels like if like they're so notoriously known as a team that like can like creep in at like the eighth or even a play-in spot, and then you don't want to see them in the playoffs. But I'm not sure that that's enough anymore, and they might be like wanting more like regular season success or something that feels like it's going to like turn into something. And yeah, I just am curious about what Jimmy Butler's patience is with this. That like we know he's capable of demanding a trade in a very forceful way, and yeah, I could see them potentially blowing it up if it's not looking good.
Yeah, I this is a very interesting pick to me. Jimmy Butler went to media day not doing any hijinks with his
Isn't that,
hair or any of his style.
doesn't that
He's
feel
trying
ominous?
he's trying to show Pat Riley like, look, like I'm taking this seriously. You can take me seriously. I think he's going into the season with almost like a chip on his shoulder, like he's got
Mm-hmm.
something to prove. Not necessarily to us as fans, but to the head office of the team. Like I'm worth this investment. I'm worth continuing to be the face of your franchise. But I feel like if it doesn't go well, then they will move on. But I do think the Miami Heat will hold out until the summer.
I do think so. Yeah, I think trade deadline was like really tough
I know
because
it's
I'm,
so hard, but
but
there's always somebody.
there's always somebody. Yeah, and so like, and the other thing too is just like I think any other teams that make a big move, like I don't feel like they might have as big of stakes as like maybe a Miami Heat team would have,
Hmm.
and that's why like for me that was like my pick in terms of like that feels like blowing it up as opposed to a
Hmm.
team that just like is thinking a team is just not working out in any way. Yeah.
Yeah, I like I.
Who
It's
do you
so
have? Do you
hard
have
to.
any? Do you have a team?
I have a pick, but I'm not like overly confident in it
Sure.
because I also think this could be a more of a summer off season situation. But I'm thinking the Hawks.
Okay. Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I'm thinking there's a world where Trey Young is like,
They feel like overdue for a move.
yeah, or
Yeah.
like he surprises us and he's like, actually, like me and Brandon Ingram are like best buddies. Like I don't
right,
know,
right, right.
somebody like we were like, wait, Kawhi and Paul George are friends? Like when did that happen?
Right, right, right,
Very
right.
that. Like me and this guy are buddies and we want to play together
Mm-hmm.
and I'm checked out and you got to figure it out.
Yeah.
I feel like that could
Yeah.
be
I
the.
feel like that one, um, if anything, feels like
It does feel overdue, I
yeah, it
agree.
just feels like it's kind of weird that it hasn't happened already, and I'm
That's
not
why
sure
I'm
what they're
not
waiting for.
confident. That's
Yeah.
why I'm not confident.
But like honestly, like between the two, that feels like a safer pick. Um,
Yeah, one
yeah.
team I think could end up doing trades at the deadline to try and get better
Mm-hmm.
is the Pistons.
Yes. Yeah. But like, do they
I
want to
think the
like with a
pit
good draft coming up? Do they even want to be better?
Well, they've been bad for so long
Right.
that if they have the opportunity to be like a play-in team and
Mm,
actually like make money with attendance that aren't Raptors fans,
right.
I think maybe they do it.
Okay. I could see that. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. I don't know if they can really afford to tank like again.
Again, again.
It's
Yeah.
just sad. It's just sad at this point. Okay. Which team is going to win? And I wrote stupid
Yeah.
NBA Cup because I'm not a believer in this NBA Cup.
I mean, the fact that the Lakers won it the first year doesn't necessarily add much notoriety to it.
And the banner.
Yeah. Oh gosh, the banner. Yes,
No,
that's right.
the banner's upsetting. The banner is actually upsetting.
Um. Well, do you have a pick? I kind of want to hear
Yeah,
yours
yeah.
first. Okay,
So
let's
I
hear.
do have a
Yeah.
pick, but I will say, going back to like, 10 minutes ago
Mm-hmm.
when you were talking about what job would you want
Mm-hmm.
in the NBA, I would want to be Jeannie Buss.
Okay. Yeah.
I would want to be a billionaire's daughter
Okay.
that inherits a basketball team. That is
Yeah. No,
so ideal.
that's a pretty sweet deal.
I mean, like Jerry Buss did not seem like the best guy in the world, but like,
That's the only thing. Yeah, I think like the like on paper get to inherit and work within a basketball team is great, but I like not like even watching that one season of Showtime, I'm just like I don't know that the Jeannie Buss like young woman experience in an organization in the 70s was great,
oh, definitely not.
right? Yeah.
But today,
But today,
or I could be like this. This would be the most ideal is if I was the divorcee of a billionaire, and I got the
uh
team like Ted Lasso.
I remember I don't know why, and I'm not even sure how I came up to that conclusion, but I have this like pretty distinct memory of telling my parents that my goal in life was to divorce and get someone's money.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a great goal.
Yeah. But
It's a
like I was
great
like too
goal.
young to even understand that. Like
I
but
am
yeah.
shocked that I hit 40
Hmm.
without being married and divorced.
Yeah. It's stuff like
It's
that where it's
kind of
like
wild.
yeah, it's like it almost feels like similar to like avoiding like a serious like this like the like specific life moments like when someone's like, "Oh, I've never broken a bone in life." Like that like 40 and not divorced feels like you dodged some bullet. You know what I mean?
I
Yeah.
mean, like if I were Jeannie Buss's age, I might have been married and divorced like 2 going on 3 times already.
That's, I mean,
because
honestly,
they're a
when
generation that got married more.
yeah. That's like, I mean, in marriage terms, that is the equivalent of like being someone with like literal rings, just like one after another, and like racking up like like that's where you have
Between
banners.
the championships and the marriages, I've run out of fingers.
Yeah, like if I was like aiming to collect divorces the way people try to win championships, then I would do things where I'd always have like a painted portrait which with each of my partners.
Oh my
Like at a
god.
time where we were like sure that this was gonna work, but then I can like hang them up like banners in my
I
yeah.
absolutely love how much this has gone off the rails, and it's completely my fault.
Oh
But
no.
okay, my pick for the NBA Cup, this
Mm-hmm.
is just out of nowhere. This is
Mm-hmm.
just a real shot in the dark because I
Mm-hmm.
think they're gonna care.
Mm-hmm.
Is the Timberwolves.
Okay. All right. I think that's a good pick.
They're
I
a
like that.
good team, and I think they're gonna care.
Mm-hmm.
And they're gonna be like, we're all about winning, and like,
Mm-hmm.
Anthony Edwards is gonna become one of like the top. I don't know, 5 is too strong, but he's gonna.
It's not crazy. I
It's
think
not
any
that. I
given
think he's gonna become one of the top 5 guys in the
yeah.
league. And yeah, I think it's. I just out
I like
just
that
for
pick.
no reason, no real reason. I think it's gonna be the Timberwolves.
I do like that pick. Yeah, like it was weird because again, like the Lakers were the first winner and they were nowhere near like a playoff contender come like the actual like real
No,
trophy.
and I think like LeBron was really about like personal goals.
I think there was that. I also kind of feel like they needed a face to win the first cup.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then so I do like the idea of like a more legitimate contender winning the second one. That's why I chose the OKC Thunder.
Mm.
I feel like they were in good position even last year, I think, to do it, and it's almost like getting over the hump. Like there's the Commissioner's Cup that happens in the W,
Hmm.
and that actually like after a couple of seasons like seemed to be a better indicator of like which teams were in the mix to
Yeah.
like go further, and I think that's what the NBA Cup like ideally should become a thing where like you're checking in halfway through the season and it's like, oh, this is the team that seems prime and ready to go and locked in.
Well, the Commissioner's Cup is they changed the format slightly this season, but
Right.
it's been the top 2 teams
Right.
in each conference.
So like not even a
So
tournament format, but as much as like they're
no, it's
just
just
yeah.
the number 1 team in the East versus the
Hmm.
number 1 team in the West.
Which I think is like way better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
at a certain point in the season. This year, like they changed the format and it happened earlier because of the Olympics. And
Mm.
then the WNBA takes a break for the Olympics. But it was the Minnesota Lynx and the New York Liberty, which are the 2 teams in the finals. So it was absolutely a finals preview.
Right.
The Minnesota Lynx won the Commissioner's Cup.
Hmm.
The Liberty, no, the Aces won it last year, but they also faced the Liberty, and that ended up being the finals matchup
Yeah.
also.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is more like even like when Sue Bird's last season, the Storm, they were in the Commissioner's Cup, but they made it to the second round. Like it
Right.
wasn't like they were suddenly irrelevant and fell off a cliff. So
Yeah, like it felt
yeah,
like I want the NBA Cup to feel like a barometer, like something that tells us like what
yeah,
direction we're headed.
yeah, I
So
agree.
that's why I like a Wolves, I like a Thunder. Like I think those are teams. And then like I mean, Pacers are probably going to be in the mix. They were in the finals last year. I could see
Hmm.
them doing that as well too. But yeah, it
Also,
feels.
the Timberwolves will celebrate a banner for this in a
Mm,
way that will annoy me again.
yeah, well, I mean, Pat Beverly won't be in the mix, so that's good.
No, but they'll
Yeah,
still get up.
yeah.
Okay. Which player is gonna take the biggest leap forward this year?
I have a pretty obvious answer,
Hmm.
um, which I will skip over, and I'll go over the other route. Just because of how weird and like I would not say this about their talent or skill at all because when it's there and they've actually been active to play, they're one of the top players in the league. But how their last couple of seasons went, it's almost like you can argue there was a dip, and we will hopefully see them actually step up. Ja Morant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
John Morant's a great pick for this.
Yeah.
I believe he's already won a Most Improved Player.
He has, yeah. He won
He could be
once.
the first one in history to win it twice.
Well, like I guess like because his is more narrative based, I don't know that like you could argue like I don't know like numbers wise like what
Mm.
the leap would be. But yeah, I think like as far as where his career trajectory was headed, like and everything that happened, like I remember being in Salt Lake City for All Star and being at the big John Morant like first shoe pop up. They built this like fake like pop up snow mountain, and they delivered their shoes on like this kind of ice slide. It was really cool.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was like a big deal, and you could just tell that like with everything built around like he was touted to be like the next big Nike athlete.
Yes, he was.
And then like all the controversy happened, and then like injuries and all that, and just like and you just see how much it's
And
like
now it's
affected Grizzlies.
Sabrina.
Yeah,
Now
now it's
it's
Sabrina. Yeah. And so I think like that it's just crazy that if John Morant is playing consistent and at a high level, like how much of a jump the Grizzlies will have this season.
I am rooting for John Morant.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's a bad person. Like even
No,
like with the gun stuff, like I just feel like I don't really understand the culture of guns in America. So when I see an American
that's how I feel
having a
about that
gun, I'm
too.
kind of
Yeah,
like, isn't that so many of you? Like,
yeah, yeah. I like the possession of it is unfortunately like way too common. Like you're not walking
yeah.
into restaurants in Canada that have very explicit signage that says please don't bring your firearms in.
Yeah, I mean it's just like I don't know. Like I thought the punishment was a little harsh, and then obviously like the injuries last year unfortunate. I
Mhm.
feel like he's I'm hoping he has a good comeback, and I hope he's
Mhm.
surrounding himself with good people.
Yeah.
I have a very interesting pick for this who I think is going to take the biggest leap forward. I think it's going to be Dante DiVincenzo.
Ooh, that's a fun one. Yeah.
Cuz
It's a
I
classic like gets a bigger role and gets to like flourish in the role situation on a good
yes.
team. Like yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think he is going to be not an all-star but a borderline all-star cuz the West is just
Yeah.
too competitive. I think he's going to be playing well enough that he could have been an Eastern Conference all-star.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
Fred
yeah.
Van Vliet level.
Yeah, no, yeah, I think that's a really good comp that way. Not in terms of like actual like play style, but like in
Yeah,
terms
yeah,
of
because
yeah.
he's more like wannabe Steph Curry, which is not bad.
Hmm.
That's like most. That's so many.
He's
That's so
very
many
much
people at this point.
yeah, he's very much in position that like should he have a good percentage, like he'd be the type of like all like near all-star caliber player that they want to involve in the weekend, so he ends up in a skills or three-point competition.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's gonna play this season with a real chip on his shoulder.
Yeah, I mean we've seen it already. So
Yeah, we've
yeah.
already seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we probably should speed through some of these. Okay, newest All Star.
Wemby.
Yeah, Wemby. I agree. We can move past that then. It's easily Wemby. Okay, biggest shock of the season.
Mm.
This could be a scandal. This could be like somebody like just I don't know, something out of nowhere. The NBA news cycle is very like
Right. Yeah,
very
yeah.
active.
Schedule's tough because I don't want to wish a schedule upon any player.
No, 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 no. Or
But
it
like
could
the
be like
biggest like
something super positive.
I mean the craziest thing scandal wise, in the same vein, is like a leaked Wemby video of some sort. Like, no, easily like that, like because he has already been painted completely as like the model rookie
But
player,
it's just like
San Antonio
but it's like a
Spur.
leaked video of him just like reading.
Yeah,
Well, I
no,
think
no,
we already have those.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like those exist. No, but like a legitimately leaked like
That would
those.
be
I mean, that would be insane. Basketball wise, okay. So I have a couple out here, but then they're not also uh like it's kind of similar to like your blow up question. Like
mm-hmm.
it's hard to necessarily see it happen this season, but maybe like in the larger, let's include a bit of the off season too. Um, in the same vein of like if the Heat blow up, Jimmy Butler reunites with Tom Thibodeau and is a Knick.
Oh.
I don't know
Uh-huh.
how. I'm like bad at GM stuff, but like
Mm-hmm.
that's one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, Uh, I think it's just like a funny because like how many people like Bronny James does not finish the season and gets cut from the Lakers.
And then LeBron just retires.
LeBron just retires at that
He's
point.
like, all right, now I'm
Yeah.
out.
Well, I mean, maybe LeBron doesn't retire, but in that same vein, once they finish the Lakers experiment, LeBron joins Steph Curry.
Oh yeah, that maybe we do see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got two that are like actually they're kind of sad, but
Okay.
they're things that I think could happen.
Okay.
One, I think Kawhi Leonard could retire.
Yeah. Uh, that one. The only reason why I think they like hold out as much as possible is because of how much he is kind of a figurehead for this new like Intuit
Stadium.
Dome, like everything, like Clippers, face of the Clippers right now. But yeah, I mean, that
Like
news about out indefinitely, all that, the
he's
persistent
out
injuries,
indefinitely.
yeah,
He got waived from the Olympic team.
yeah. Or he stepped out or got waived? I think he stepped down.
I thought he got waived.
Was that what it was? Okay.
Well, I think they tried to like cover up like what actually happened
Sure,
because
yeah.
we never got the full story
Which is
on
very
why he
common
left
for,
or whatever it was.
yeah, that's a very common Kawhi story. Yeah.
But between those two things and just what we've seen over the last 4 years,
Yeah.
I'm just like, if this guy keeps having knee injuries, he's not going to be able to walk when he's old.
Yeah, it's very
Like it's
yeah.
crazy to have
It's
this
really
many
sad.
knee injuries in your 30s. Like there are bigger, longer term effect, like consequences to this, you know? And I feel like he's reaching that point where it's like, I mean, I don't want to live in this world. Like I'm not
No,
suggesting
no.
I
That's
want
my
this,
favorite
but
player. I would hate that. Yeah.
yeah, but I do think we are in a world where we have maybe seen
Mhm.
his last game or maybe seeing his last games later this season.
It is possible. I mean, like the persistence of it, and it's not new injuries. I think that's like the thing that's always been tough.
Yeah.
I never have gotten like, and I guess like that's the ambiguity of his injury, is that once it happened, I think like doctors would say that it is just a persistent thing that will always be there. So all you can really do in terms of like load management or whatever is get him back into a form to like last for a finite amount of time. And so it's being strategic about like, being able to maximize during the playoffs or anything like that. But nobody has like outright said like this person will have a way to be like just perpetually healthy. Like it's always going to be there. Yeah. Yeah. It's tough.
I also think the Clippers, because of this whole stadium situation, I haven't looked at like who's a free agent or anything this coming season, but I feel like
they're a candidate like for that blowing up situation.
they're a candidate for
Yeah.
blowing up, but they're also a candidate for being like we are desperate for a star, right? Paul George is gone.
Yeah.
Kawhi can't stay on the court.
Russ
James
is on the
Harden,
Nuggets.
Russ is gone.
Yeah.
James Harden is not who he used to be.
No.
Like, like they are desperate to have like a star and a face for this team. And I feel like they're going to be on the hunt
Yeah.
for who that's going to be. But I didn't want to say earlier because I didn't want to spoil my shocker thing, which is
No.
Kawhi
That's
may
good.
retire very soon.
Yeah.
My other shocker pick is I don't think Draymond Green will go an entire season without being suspended.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think he has it in him to not get suspended
Right.
for a whole season.
What it like for what?
Like he'll just act out.
He'll just act out.
He'll
Yeah,
just
yeah.
act out and do something stupid. And I think the fan base will get outraged and the league will feel compelled to do something again.
Right.
He's been very like he's been
can
somewhat
you
remorseful, but pretty
Yeah.
unapologetic generally.
Oh,
And
yeah.
even when he came back last year, he did like this weird like hand motion towards was it Paul George about like
yeah.
or somebody like shivving them and then like
Yeah, he
and then he got like he got ejected from a game against the Magic in like the first minute of the game.
It's crazy how
Like,
long
he-
the
yeah.
offseason has been and how far distant that is that I forgot that Draymond Green choked out Rudy Gobert last year. Like and then I think also like just kind of maybe the sad kind of end of the era
Yeah.
feeling of the Warriors that like Clay is gone.
Yeah.
Like we're not even looking at them as a like we're just like talking in terms of like how is Steph gonna look at like the twilight of his career, less like what's next for the Warriors. Like they're just not even the mix for anything. And yeah, I mean like winning solves a lot, and I assume like the Warriors like have definitely benefited from that. But then I think like a struggling Warriors team with a volatile Draymond Green, anything is possible.
Yeah, like I think they'll win like 45 games or so. Like they'll be a
Right.
decent team.
Like
But
a
I
play
don't
in, yeah.
yeah, like or maybe yeah, like they could be like 7th or something like,
Hmm.
in the West kind of thing, but they're not going to be like what they were. And I just don't think Draymond has it in him to keep his cool for an entire season. I really don't.
Yeah. I mean, the pressure is on him to actually like hold it down with like what's left of the team. Yeah.
Yeah. But we'll see. Those are my shocker picks. Okay. We got to do some Raptors picks now.
Let's do some Raptors picks.
Okay. There are greater minds who analyze this team.
Yep.
And I okay. I shouldn't jump ahead here. Let me ask you Raptors Homer moment, Raptors predictions.
Mm-hmm.
Who on this team is going to be most improved?
It's not fun because he was a rookie last year, but it is Grady Dick for me.
Yeah, I think that would be a unanimous pick across the board. We're
Yeah.
seeing him getting a bigger opportunity,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like we're seeing him. I believe he's hitting his threes a bit better now.
He started hitting his stride starting, I think, the second half of the first Boston Celtics game, and then last game for sure. Yeah, and like we all know that when he came back in the latter part of last season, it was already starting to show some flashes of it.
Yeah,
So just like to be able to see it more consistently will be great, and fingers crossed, like he's not hitting a sophomore slump. If anything, it's like a bump up. So like hopefully
yeah,
that's
because
the
he had a
case.
rookie slump.
Yeah, he had a rookie slump. If anything, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And then will Scottie make the All-Star team?
That's a fringe situation. I'm gonna bank on no right now.
Mm.
But not because he won't be an all-star caliber player, but just again one of those situations. Like now you have Cat on the
Yeah,
Knicks.
yeah.
Um,
And will the Raptors have enough wins?
will the Raptors have enough wins? I mean, like things like I could see a situation of like injury replacement for Joel Embiid,
Yeah, yeah,
something like
yeah.
that. But I don't know, like an outright like definitely not a starter. There's just
No.
like no shot at that, and that's not on Scottie. And then reserve wise, it's tough. Like I think that's always the tough question in general when it comes to like, will so and so be an all star or should someone be an all star? Is not so much are they all star caliber because like for so many people who don't make it, that's true. But it's just like, okay, if that's true, who are you taking out to put them in?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you think Matt Devlin is going to call him Scotty All-Star on the broadcast?
absolutely.
Like
Because
Matt Devlin's a part of the campaign
oh yeah, yeah,
cuz it worked for Fred.
right. I
Like it
think
really worked.
yeah, I think that's a given. Like, I mean, once it ramps up, that's also like one of the sadder parts. Generally, when it comes to Raptors making, like, we should be able to tamper as a country. Like we say this every year, but we should be able to, like you should.
This
There
is
should be no
true.
reason. Like I remember, like so many times over how like, if you were like a fan favorite in China, like you could just like lock in and like
Mhm.
just get votes like nonstop. So, yeah, I think like that's a way in, but I don't know if we'll vote enough to get like Scottie in.
I think he will make the All-Star team like you said as an injury replacement
Yeah, I can
or
see
the
that.
coaches vote. I think the league really likes Scotty Barnes.
That's the thing. Like the
I
fact that
think
he's made one
coaches really
already
like him.
helps.
Yeah, the league likes that kid.
Yeah.
So I think he will squeeze in.
Here's what I think like works in his favor is that he already made it,
Hmm.
and then like the only way, and he's not, to speak to like how we started the show, he's not a one hit wonder because we've seen one
Right.
hit wonder all stars before, but like an all like getting over the all star hump tends to feel like a club that like once you're in, like you really have to like mess up to like leave that thing. And
Mm-hmm.
so and like he made it in, like he was a clear all-star. So I think to that end is like if he is better, at least as good if not better, and I think we expect him to be better than he was last year, it would be hard to say that he shouldn't be on. It's almost just like you shouldn't like punish a person for not.
Mm-hmm.
So I think
Mm-hmm.
to that end, like he actually does have a legitimate shot. It's just like really tough to call, like especially with the things moving around. But I think I'm talking myself into saying he's gonna make it.
Yeah. I agree. Okay. Do you think the Raptors will make the play in this year? And then a secondary question, do
Okay.
we want to
Right.
make the play in this year?
Um, I I don't think we will. It's really not hard to make the play in though in the East. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like you can like that the play in the East is almost like a definition of failing upwards. Like,
Mm-hmm.
but I think the thing that's like really tough about it is like if we don't, unfortunately, it doesn't feel like we'll be bad enough to get like a really good shot at the draft. So it's like you really almost want to go all the way tank that we have no shot at the play in, or like actually make it in and see what this like team is capable of. Like I think making the play like a Raptors team like as presently constructed as like where they are right now in terms of their development, like making the play in and like making any noise in there would be like such a feel good part of the season. And then at the same time too, like I think that's maybe even like from a marketing standpoint, like that's what you want out of like your 30th anniversary. Like you don't want it to be like such a tank like bad season with like one of
Yeah.
the worst records. Um that's an odd way to celebrate playing like you're an expansion team. But
But you know
yeah.
what? If we're celebrating 30 years,
Hmm.
you want to go back to the beginning? We were terrible.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I was saying like, are we gonna honor it by being like an
By
expansion
being
level
bad?
team and
Yeah.
just like horrible at
Yeah.
yeah, and just like what is it? Well,
Play a
this
game at the Rogers Center.
yeah, the Celtics are going on like an iconic like season run, and like they have like one of the best records in the history of basketball, and like will be just like the Bulls, like the what one of the games that actually beat
That they
them. Like,
lost?
yeah,
Yeah. Very that.
yeah,
Very that. I think, there's so many bad teams in the Eastern Conference
that's the problem.
specifically,
Yeah,
right? Like there's Charlotte, there's Detroit, I'm probably
Washington.
Washington. Good
Yeah,
Lord.
yeah.
The Raptors. Who else? The Bulls are,
Bulls, yeah,
you
like
know,
who, like Bulls are actually also like a low key like blow it up situation by way of like finally dealing Zach Levine
blowing it up again. Yeah. I
again.
mean,
Yeah,
yeah, like I feel like there's a world where you have like
the Hawks
thir-
could be terrible if they
the
like actually
Hawks
deal
could
with
be
Trey Young.
extra
Yeah,
terrible. Like you could have 30 wins
yeah,
and be a playing team.
yeah.
Like I've been saying on this podcast for a while now, like the playoffs need to be the best 1 through 16
1,000%.
regardless of conference cuz it's ridiculous
If the
and
WNBA was able to do it without charters,
literally
you know,
literally.
yeah,
Yeah, it's getting ridiculous and like I don't buy the scheduling excuse. I think they could figure it out.
no,
They
not at this
always
point.
figure it out. But yeah, I think my fear is that we will make the play. And I definitely don't want to
Yeah,
because people who really follow the draft are already saying this is a deeper draft.
yes,
People are already talking about this Cooper Flag kid. I don't
mm-hmm,
really know anything about him, but that
mm-hmm.
is such an athlete name.
Right.
Your name's Cooper Flag? Like,
It's
get out of
yeah,
here.
it's big man on campus
Yeah,
energy.
that's like being named Obi Toppin. Like,
Yeah,
of course you're going to be a basketball player. That's
yeah.
insane.
For us like 40-year-olds, like oh
Like, you're going
wow,
to
I
be
didn't
in
know
a.
we're drafting Zach Morris.
Oh, God. I'm
Actually, no,
so.
no. Let me take it back. AC Slater. It's an AC Slater ass
Oh,
name.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Of
yeah,
course. Of course. Of
yeah.
course. But yeah, I feel like. I I feel like let's go for a big draft pick this year. I don't think
Yeah. Oh no, I think that's like definitely the move. I just don't
yeah.
know that we can be that bad.
I don't know if we can be that bad
Yeah.
either. But you're so
You're so fair enough.
bad. Okay. Uh I think it's time. Wait, do you have any other Raptors predictions
Ooh.
that you want to throw into the mix? Those are my big three questions, but there could be others here. It's
Ooh,
okay
that's
if
a
you
tough
can't.
one. I think Return of the Bench Mob.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
yes, we have to have that.
Yeah. I think too because like very fresh off the like good vibes of beating Boston. Like we beat Boston with basically what would end up being something like our bench mob going into the season. Like without RJ, without IQ, like
We yeah.
without Kelly, like without some key players that should be in the starting lineup. Like, yeah, I think there's like some potential bringing that back. And a lot of it is like predicated on how much I love Jamal Shed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want Amir Johnson bobblehead night.
Mm. Who do you want as your first bobblehead then? Like in the new era of the Raptors. Oh, like Amir Johnson bobblehead,
Yeah,
like
like
for
in
his
terms of
return.
like classic Raptors, I just
Sure.
feel like let's have an Amir Johnson night. That's the bench mob thing made me think of him.
Yeah, no, no, totally fair. I think, but I guess like then my follow up, like, who do you think has the most Amir Johnson potential for this current crop of the Raptors?
Oh, that's a good question. That's real. I don't know.
I don't think it necessarily has to be a big. I like, unfortunately, I think like a close option would have been like a Chris Boucher, but we don't even know if he's gonna be with the team.
I
Like,
kind of hope for
I hope he
Boucher's
stays. I
sake.
love Chris. Yeah.
I love Chris, but for his sake, I want him to go
Okay. Oh, like to like
so he
continue.
can have a
Yeah.
bigger role.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, Also Bruce Brown. My God.
That's right.
What? Okay. What are your thoughts on Davion Mitchell so far?
Uh, I mean, it's really hard to say again because preseason, but like I like it. Like I think like he's gonna be a serviceable backup guard. I think the defense is there for sure. I think there might be a bit of a redundancy between him and Jamal Shed,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the part where at this current spot you play Davion, but like I think that's gonna be like a fight between those two.
Mm.
Yeah.
Do you think one of those guys could be like our next like Norm Powell / Gary Trent Jr. guy?
Ooh, I mean, it's gonna be hard to say for Jamal because like he really does need to like work on the shooting.
Mm-hmm.
So I think between the two, if like either is I has potential, I suppose that's like Davion. Yeah, that one's a tough one.
Okay,
I
I'm going
yeah
with Davion
yeah
then.
yeah yeah.
He's gonna be my Amir Johnson.
Okay,
for
fair
this
enough.
team.
Fair enough. All right, great.
All right, I think it's time to move on to our hottie highlight of the week.
Yes.
And we've done a Vince Carter edition of this before, but we just had the Hall of Fame
Yep.
induction, all of that good stuff. His jersey's going to be retired, so this is your pick. It is. What's the hottie highlight? Is it the Hall of Fame speech?
Mm-hmm.
Seeing it become official, the jacket, all of
Mm-hmm.
that,
Mm-hmm.
or is it Vince Carter being moved to tears when learning that he's going to get his jersey retired by the Raptors?
I think it is the move to tears.
Mm-hmm.
I like I'll be honest, like I did not watch the Hall of Fame speech yet until I saw it on the rundown. I was like, oh, I should actually watch it, see what it said. Because like I think the
You
thing
know
is
what? I haven't either.
like we got spoiled by like social word. You'll get enough of like the key points and like the big thing
Yeah,
from the
yeah,
thing
you
was like
get the
that
clips.
he said that he is entering as a Raptor.
But
And that was
also,
like the big
like, I
moment.
thought that was already understood. So I thought it was confusing that he had to clarify it in the speech.
I mean, what would be a truly haughty moment in a he's terrible for you, I think I can fix him sort of way is that he enters as like a net or anyone else.
Oh my God. Could you
Like
imagine?
toxic hottie of the week, like that would be an incredible moment.
And then he's just up there with like Jason Kidd.
Yeah, Jason Kidd jumps on his shoulder again, like just like that buzzer beater. I mean, like there was a moment in it. I don't know that I'll go back to watch it again to be sure, but there was a moment where, because like a classic Hall of Fame speech, Vince or like any player will go through like all the different people in their lives, like in their basketball careers, and talk about coaches, talk about players that they played with. When he gets to the Raptors, he names all the coaches that he played for, and then makes kind of what feels like a bit of a jab of like a lot of coaches that I played for here, and I was just like, it's like very
In
interesting.
Toronto?
Yeah, in Toronto. Yeah, I mean,
Wasn't there like two?
well,
Oh
there's
no, three. There was
Butch Carter,
three.
Kevin O'Neal, Lenny Wilkins. So at
Oh,
least
Kevin
three.
O'Neal.
Yeah,
Oh, and then Sam Mitchell.
and Sam Mitchell. So four. Yeah.
I forgot he played with for. Oh yeah, that was his rookie season.
Mm. Right,
Right,
because
right,
that
right.
turns into
And then
Butch,
and
and then
then that
Butch
turns
turns
into
into
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
so like four coaches, but like it's very funny to like kind of like almost like in a smirking way to be like played for a lot of like it almost feels like again he's like taking a jab at like the experience, which is like granted, playing for four coaches as a superstar is not a
Well, and
good
him
thing.
and Sam, him and Sam Mitchell got into a fight,
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
which
there was
seems
that
to
the
be a
Jalen Rose
pattern
story.
for Sam Mitchell.
I was gonna say, shout out. I apologize for not remembering his name, the NBA TV host
Yeah, I
who
don't
got
remember.
into it with him. But like, he might be the hottie of the week for deflecting some of the attention away from Vince.
That
uh,
was so crazy.
that was very unhinged behavior.
It was very unhinged behavior on both their parts,
Yeah.
actually.
Like, imagine
Uh,
I disagreed with you on like just like the most like mundane point on this pod, and then I just like start airing out like all your information, like just like this is her
my
address, this is her
lack of
number.
salary.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. I say you're broke, and then I tell people where to find you. Like that's crazy.
Yeah, that is
Yeah,
because we're all out here looking for broke people on TV.
exactly.
But
But
yeah,
yeah,
I think I agree. I think Vince is like he he's obviously very emotional when it comes to Toronto still to this day, and I think he always will be.
emotional in a way that like feels like I don't know Vince's life and situation, but like I think you should get a therapist for that. Like not in a way, but like no, but just in a way that like how triggering it feels.
Yeah, it does. It really does.
And like I just whatever healthy outlet you have to talk through it. Like I think like a lot of the discourse around Vince with everything that's going on is, I mean, the big question of like, should he have been retired first? Like, we're not going to answer any of those right now. And like, also his complicated history with the Raptors, especially for people who like live through that era.
Hmm.
And the thing is, it's like, I'm far beyond him having to answer for fans. Like, I hope it becomes like Will on our show, like, who is the young one of the three of us, like his early Vince memories are like basically last season before he left the team. So he has like none of that experience of like the highs and then feeling like I guess like the betrayal of it. But for him, he's just like, I just hope it becomes closure for everyone, and I totally agree with him. But like watching the reaction at like you said, I think he's like a very emotional person to begin with. Like a lot of things will like kind of bring him to tears. But there's like maybe because it's so close to home, there's like a very specific way of watching him like almost immediately break into tears at the announcement of him having his jersey retired, which should not have been a surprise. Like it plays like at the park in that scene,
Yeah, I
like
already
he just
thought it
heard
was
for the
gonna.
first time.
Yeah, because I'm like, you're in Toronto.
Yeah,
Like you have to have a sense that this is going to happen. I thought it was already like a
yeah.
bit of a done deal.
Like it would be like on your 40th, you sat in a room with us with a cake there, and then you looked at the cake. It's like, oh, this is for me, like that. And we're like, yeah, that like this is why your friends are all in this room together, and like it's on the specific day of your birth. Like,
Yeah, or like if I had, like having a party and then like my friend buys me a cake.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
I'd be so like grateful, but I wouldn't
yeah.
be like, you got me a cake.
I like yeah,
Um,
and so I think like the way those tears feel heavy.
they do feel heavy.
Yeah,
And I think for him, and I'm projecting a little bit
of
here,
course. Yeah,
I think there's a lot of remorse,
I think so. Yeah,
right? And I think there's a lot of remorse, and I think there's a lot of like, wishes he could go back and do things differently.
yeah. I mean, like I don't have a very detailed breakdown of like the different occurrences of when he's like talked about his leaving or his exit and things like that. But we've been doing a lot of coverage for it for the show. Obviously, we've seen a lot of clips around. We've seen a lot of like responses from fans, And it always kind of goes between some level of like he's acknowledged and atoned for it. There's also mentions of like we need to put more onus on the organization at the time, which I think is
Mm-hmm.
completely fair. And then there are like a lot of people who say like he just needs to own up to what happened and like vocalize it. But then like it's really interesting because there's like the famous off the record with like Vince and Tracy where they both like openly admit that they both should have stayed with Toronto and they would have probably won a championship together. There is the actual um, that the infamous return game with Memphis where he has like the video tribute that brings him to tears.
Yeah.
If you watch the video tribute, like there is a part of there, while not so very like explicit, he says like, yeah, I do regret some of like how it all went down. Like he says that in the video. I those aren't the exact words, but something to
Yeah,
that
but
like
there's
sentiment.
there's the Carter Effect documentary.
There is that too. Yeah.
I think Sportsnet did a documentary
Right.
as
And so I
well.
I
And
think if
it
anything
has been
there's
talked
so much
about.
stuff it has been talked about and there's like so much around at this point. Um I think maybe because there's so much conversation around it, it feels like impossible to have a definitive like from Vince like this is where he stands and this is how he feels kind of thing because it's so clouded with like things he said in the moment versus things he said afterward. All that to say is like I hope again we can close that chapter on it. Oh, actually, I do have a
Yeah.
very random sicko moment in like all my Vince Carter fandom slash making so much content about Vince over the years. I watched this Hall of Fame video, and like it's like the package that they played to get ahead of like him receiving it. I saw it for the first time actually watching a Raptors preseason game like on NBA League Pass where like they played those random packages.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
But then I saw it again like when I watched like the enshrinement speech. They played the package before he came up to stage, and I was like, they repurposed like an old NBA video for this.
Oh, really?
In some ways, if you watch, like, if you look up on YouTube, from the NBA account, Vince Carter Ultimate Dunk Mix, watch that and see the highlights, but very specifically, listen to this song, which is like this like random royalty-free dubstep song
Oh, wow.
that is
I
played to, and
I
then like,
imagine I hope they'll do something special for him
oh,
for
they're
the it
definitely.
won't be the same thing, but that's pretty
There's
funny.
definitely but like and then watching the video package like the song is reused, so that means like to some degree either they like pulled the song again and then like highlights are cut to it and then they're just like the changes there are inserts of players talking about Vince.
Mhm.
But I'm like it seems like too much of a coincidence that it's the exact same random royalty free dubstep song that's being used for like the same like highlight package of Vince. So that's how much I've been covering Vince over the years that I recognize that.
That is wild.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I like the way I stand on all this. First of all, I have a
Sure.
little Vince in my background here.
I see it. Yeah.
And like,
Is that should be like the 360
yeah,
like
that's the
windmill? Yeah.
360. Yeah. And I lived through that era. I
Same. Yeah.
loved Vince Carter. I had the biggest crush on him. Like he was like my Backstreet Boy. Like I absolutely
Mm.
loved him. And I was crushed when he left. I was like, screw that guy, all of that, what, a hole, blah, blah, blah. And then when the Memphis game happened
Yeah.
and that tribute happened and the crowd cheered for him and he got emotional, I was like, it's time.
Right.
10 years is long enough.
Right.
Now we're at 20 years.
Yeah.
And I think like,
Also, we won a championship.
and we've wanted to, like, we have more than moved on.
Yeah.
And
Not like in a petty way, but like if this was,
yes.
let's just say for the sake of like a breakup accounting, like we won a championship and Vince did it.
Yeah.
Like not to say that that's some sort of karmic balance. I don't wish that on Vince. I wish he had the ability to add that to his like career resume. But like even on that end, it's like it's not like he absolutely flourished like in his exit. Like he had a really good career, but like he would even admit himself there was like probably his best chance to have a championship is if he just like kept the core together with the Raptors. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I think, and based on everything we know about him publicly, he seems like a really good guy.
Seems like it, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
people like him, people get along with him. He's never had like a scandal, God forbid. Like
Yeah.
he's close with his mom. And I think too, like
Yeah.
even like I think if when you go back and you look at the things that he had issues with, the way we were willing to just give Kawhi whatever the hell he wanted
Oh yeah, Vince
is
experienced
the
that.
way
Yeah.
Vince should have been treated back then. And
Yeah.
the fact that the organization didn't, I think, has a large part to do with like, I don't think they even valued basketball or the Raptors
Yeah,
as much as they should have.
pre-player empowerment era, like
Yeah, like
organizations were
oh,
rough.
his mom wants a parking spot. Give her a flipping parking spot. What
Yeah,
is what
I
is
feel
what
like
is this
being the same age, you
conversation?
remember like some of like even as a kid, I remember that being like such a big talking point, and like even fans being like,
Oh, and
"How
like
could be so
calling him
entitled?"
like a mama's boy and this
Yeah,
and
it
that and
was
the
rough.
other.
Yeah,
Meanwhile, like how many, so many years later, Kevin Durant wins MVP and he refers to his mom as the real
real MVP.
MVP and we
Yeah,
all love it. And it's like,
yeah,
give her a parking spot.
yeah,
Like I just think like the organization really did blow it. And I do
a
feel
thousand
like,
percent. Yeah,
sure, Vince could have handled it better, but also like, he was the one with the talent and
hmm
frankly the leverage. And
yep,
if we weren't going to treat him the way a superstar of his caliber deserves to be treated, then why wouldn't he leave?
yeah. No, no, that's totally
Like
fair.
that's kind of how I see it now, right? Like
hmm
cuz yeah, like we would give Kawhi anything
hmm
to stay. So I don't know. I just feel like the organization blew it and I put more blame on them than I do on Vince.
Yeah,
That's
I
how I
think
feel
like
about it.
yeah, I think all in all, like for sure, they have to take some of the onus of it. I think what ultimately just becomes difficult about it is, um, like let's take like a Kevin Garnett for example.
Mhm.
Like that dude played his heart out for the Timberwolves to the very end until they
Yeah,
finally traded him to the Celtics. Like that is something we can never say about how Vince had his exit.
absolutely. It was one of the
Yeah,
worst exits
yeah.
ever, followed by one of the worst trades ever.
One of the
It's
worst
actually
trades.
one of the worst trades in NBA history, but
Yeah,
that's not his fault.
that's not his fault. Also, yeah, the other thing too, like again, like none of this is coming from a place that I'm actually like mad about it. It's more just like acknowledging everything that actually did happen. Is just um ugly breakup, but like before LeBronto, it was Vince.
It was, yeah, it
He
was
was an
Vince.
absolute villain.
There's other things like, so my friends have a movie podcast called The Villain Was Right.
Mm.
Shout out to Craig Faye and Rebecca Reeds. They do like, and I did a Space Jam episode with them, which was real fun.
Ah.
But it's like, it's like you look at a movie and then you're like, wait, is this villain actually a
Yeah.
villain?
Yes. Yes.
Right. And I feel like that's the whole Vince Carter thing. It's like, was he actually the villain? And I think
Yeah.
it's more nuanced than just a hard yes. Because even with like the controversial like graduation thing,
Yeah.
it's like if that happened today, the team would have had his back
1,000%.
and they wouldn't have let it become the media spectacle that it became, because I think the media spectacle
They
was
definitely let him
actually
down.
more distracting than the graduation itself.
Yes.
And so it's like, you know what I mean? Like you said, player empowerment era, it changed my perspective
Mm-hmm.
on a lot of the Vince stuff, I will say. So that's
Yeah.
why by 2014, like I was good. And I think, all us other Raptors fans need to let it go and move on and appreciate what he was able to do for the franchise and the fact that we still have a franchise in Toronto in
Yeah.
large part because of him.
No, I totally agree. And like just like you, I mean, my earliest memories of basketball are probably the latter three-peat of the Bulls.
Mm.
And that does coincide with like the inception of the Raptors, but the Raptors were such a bad team that like you just as a kid, you're unless you're like maybe getting brought to games, which I don't think it happened too often. Like you just don't really have a firm concept. You just only know like what is like the best of the NBA, which was Jordan at the time.
Hmm.
But after he retires, like I remember for at least a year or so, like feeling like I'm kind of like dipping off, and it's Vince that brings me back in as a fan.
Yep.
And so,
Absolutely.
like, Vince brings me back as a fan. He's the reason why I always want to use 15 as a number. I am staring right now at. It's actually a very random thing. When I worked at MLSC, they used to just do like kind of charity auctions where they would, like, some would be like signed jerseys, some would be all sorts of stuff. What I got was like from a Raptors activate like pop-up activation, they made these custom like just pillows. So I have a pillow that is like one is like a Vince one and one is a Kyle one, and I'm just like staring at my Vince one right now, but off in the
Aw.
distance, which is great. But yeah, like I
I had
think
a Vince Carter Beanie Baby. Like the little
that's
teddy that was purple with the
yeah,
little
yeah, yeah.
15
Oh, that's
heart
cool.
in a
Yeah,
case. Yeah, it
that's
was really
huge.
cute.
But yeah, like he undoubtedly as a basketball figure like shifted not just like the Raptors, but like um just like how people perceived like Canada, perceived like Toronto,
Mhm.
um popularized basketball for a period. Like if Vince existed during a social media era, like it would have been
Oh, it would have
insane.
been off the charts. Yeah.
Like so many parts about Vince, like personally, have been like very crucial, and like now looking in retrospect, now that I'm working in sports media, like I just don't know how I get here without all the touch points of like being a Vince Carter fan.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Completely agree.
yeah,
We should wrap it up there.
yeah. Oh,
Jerome.
also
Oh,
fundamentally, sorry. Um, no, because you said it before earlier on. Like, no matter what the answer is, like Vince Carter is objectively a hottie.
oh, Vince Carter is hot.
Yeah,
Just for the record, if
just for the
anyone
record.
didn't know.
Yeah, so like either answer would have been correct because Vince Carter is hot.
He's very hot. He
Yeah,
remains in shape post retirement.
he does.
I'm glad
Yep,
he's going to be on TV more.
yep.
He does slightly stutter a little bit when he talks, but I also find that really hot.
Yeah,
It makes him human.
it makes him
And
human.
I wanted him to
Does that give
I
the
wanted
potential of
Vince
like himbo like energy? Like not
I wanted him to be the next host of Jeopardy.
interesting.
Like I was like, let's mix this up. Or like he
Wow.
could do like if they do like a sports tournament,
Okay, yeah.
Vince Carter should host the sports tournament of Jeopardy.
The sports tournament of Jeopardy. Jeopardy is now I'm like just thinking about what
Like
game
they could
shows.
do like a 1 week sports tournament.
I have no idea why I'm here. Maybe because
Like
the
they
new
do
season's up.
celebrity tournaments, they do the college university tournaments. They
Right.
could do a sports trivia tournament and Vince Carter should host it.
I have another sort of game show, not really like it's a reality show that I kind of want him to host now. Um, I can't explain to you how it works because it just came to mind. I would just like him to replace Vince and, oh, not Vince, sorry, Nick and Vanessa Lachey as the host of Love Is Blind. Yeah, maybe we give like some
That's
like
so funny. I don't know if Vince is married.
Oh, that's a good point too. Oh, as a contestant would be incredible. Oh my God, Vince Carter as a contestant on Love Is Blind.
I
Oh,
would
Vince
lose
Carter should
my
be a
mind.
bachelor at some point.
Yeah, I mean, I think okay, so like when I Google the last time I Googled his personal life,
Right.
the last time I Googled his personal life, I believe he does have a partner. Like he has
Right.
and
Can I
he's
ask a
got
question about
3
like the
kids,
googling?
but I don't think they're married.
Okay.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, no. Like in terms of the time of googling, was it just about to turn 40 and realize you're not divorced yet? So maybe check in on what
Yeah, it
Vince
was
is like.
literally like a week ago.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
It's like during the Hall of Fame. I was like,
Right, right.
I wonder what this guy's status is.
Yeah, I know he didn't win an NBA ring, but does he have any ring?
Yeah, he got married and divorced in the
Okay.
2000s. I
Ah.
remember this because he was like on the cover of like remember like Metro News, like that free
Oh my
newspaper?
gosh. Yeah.
His like wedding picture, and I remember being like a kid, like just being devastated.
Right.
Like just irrationally devastated.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, and then they got divorced, and then yeah, and so I believe he has a new partner and a couple kids together, but I don't
Okay.
think, but according to Wikipedia, I don't think they're married, so I don't know
Okay.
what, I don't,
So you're
to
saying
each
there's a
their
chance.
to each their own.
Yeah.
He would be an amazing contestant on The Bachelor though.
Yeah, would you want him to be the Bachelor or one of the contestants on a Bachelorette situation,
Competing for my love?
or competing for
Uh,
anyone's love for that
no, no,
matter?
no. He
Yeah.
needs to be the Bachelor.
Okay.
He's too much of a catch. Like he's too much of a catch to not.
Counterpoint.
Yeah.
I just want him to be one of the competing bachelors. So, like, for one season only, they just host a dunk contest for a rose.
He's like trying to impress the girl by dunking on all the other male contestants.
Like I know that that's like the way.
It would be an honor to be dunked on by Vince as a
1,000%.
regular human being of the world.
1,000%. I know that's not how the show works because you would have to get introduced to him as like in the beginning, like everyone coming out and like getting greeted by the Bachelorette. Well, actually, no, because like they do throw curveballs that like sometimes they add a Bachelor partway through a season for like whatever given reason. Anyway, I'll script out exactly what I want to see happen. So, they do a thing where it's like, here's the competition. We're gonna host a dunk contest, and everyone's like, oh wow, okay, that's kind of weird. And then
everyone's like, "This is rigged. It's
well,
rigged
no, but
for Vince."
no, but the thing is, we don't know Vince is in it yet because like Vince is not on the show. He has not appeared in.
Oh,
The
so he's
season
just
yet.
a guest star.
Well, no. Then he becomes a regular contestant, but this is how he enters the show. So the first competition is just like, and we're gonna have Trevor, Kyle, and you, Vince, and then like it pans out, and then just Vince gets revealed, and they're like, wait,
Oh
what?
my god.
And then yeah, that's how he becomes.
Okay, here I'm gonna offer a counter.
Yeah.
So let's say Vince is the Bachelor.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh wait, can I complete my Vince as a contestant story? He doesn't make it to the end. He doesn't get chosen because the Bachelorette is still sore about Toronto. And then the discourse begins again.
She's Canadian.
Yeah, she just
Oh my god.
just like you, or like Kyle would have been my first choice, and then sends him off.
She walks away with
Yeah.
Kyle.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, what if he's the Bachelor,
Okay.
and then he puts the Bachelorettes in a dunking contest?
Oh, that's fun. I like that.
So they all got a dunk for his love, and maybe
Yeah.
the net is like, the net is like 6'5".
Yeah, like a Fisher Price kind of.
Yeah. Like it's, you know what I mean. So they can like kind of dunk.
Yep.
That would be really funny. That would be
I'm
a
very
funny
into that.
segment.
Yeah. I think celebrity Bachelor makes sense.
Yeah. Well, Vince, we're here.
Yeah.
We're here. We have ideas.
Yeah.
Okay. I charge a very reasonable consulting rate. Hit me up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we really should wrap this.
Okay,
up.
let's
This
wrap
was
here.
absolutely wild. But thank you so much for
Thank
joining
you for
me.
having me.
It's so great to start off the season again with you.
It's no longer joining each other because we are now on the same network. So
That's
it is so great that we did
true.
this show together.
Aw, that's
Yeah.
true. But it's still great to have your company.
It is
For all
always
the
a pleasure.
people a part of the company.
Right. Exactly.
Jerome, let us know more about Hello and Welcome and where we can find you on the internets.
So Hello and Welcome is the podcast I produce. It is hosted by William Liu and Alex Wong. We also cover the Raptors and do that under the Nation Network. You can follow us on YouTube, on anywhere you can get your podcasts, and you can follow our socials at Hello Welcome Pod, where we'll post like a ton of content. We post so much, and there has not been a singular regular season Raptors game yet. So who knows what happens when that starts up. But yeah, you can find us there. You can find me personally at Black Dragon Roll on all socials. But yeah, check us out. Check out Raptors Republic. Check out everything because we're gonna do some like awesome content together.
Yes. Everyone, thank you so much. So great to be back. You can follow me at itsme_Cathryn, Cathryn. Please like this video, subscribe, all that good stuff. Leave a review for the podcast. That always really helps. And I'm hoping to start a Buckets and Tea social media account soon. So finally, I should have done that years ago. But please look out for that. And thank you again, everyone. Happy NBA season.